Milton Sports Hall of Fame is proud to present the inaugural induction ceremony.
Tonelli to Neister, he scored! The Islanders win the Stanley Cup!
If I had to look at the things responsible for my life today, it's all about growing up in this town of Milton.
My husband came home early one day from New York. He said, "How long has this been going on?" I said, "Oh, about 4 years."
I didn't really get serious about running marathons until I was in my late 60s.
They are the Campbellville Merchants.
The whole village, supported them.
To be immortalized in the Sport Town Hall of Fame is incredible. This is probably the biggest moment of my life. Thank you.
Welcome the Milton Sports Hall of Fame induction class of 2017.
They say you never forget your first. My first NHL game was a memorable one. My own defenseman, Bob Plager, scored on me.
Whether in the dressing room of the Chicago Stadium, where my boss introduced me to the owner of the Chicago Blackhawks way back when, and he asked me where I was from, and I right away blurted out, Milton, Ontario.
Where I learned how to lead, where I learned how to win with humility and lose with respect, where I started on a path to the man I would become, and where I became a small part of something much greater.
We contemplated on what my grandfather would want to say to this gathering on this special night, and there's one word that stood out above all others: grateful.
Well, I hope this means as much to him as it does to me.
From the gymnasium at the Milton Sports Center, welcome to the 2018 Milton Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Please welcome your host for this evening, Chris May.
Hey, it's me again. What a night we have lined up for you. We did a little bit pre-show on who was here last year, but now for television, make some noise if you were here last year. Make some noise if you've been here for all three. So last year, you remember that this stage was up just a tiny bit. Well, the demand for more people to be here was so great that we've pushed it back and it's bigger. So a big hand to all of you for making this an even bigger success this year. So for those of you that joined us at the unveiling, that was a wonderful ceremony. For those of you that did not have an opportunity to do so, please make it a point before you leave here tonight to wander out back into the lobby, just on the other side of either of these two doors, and check out the wonderful presentations that we have that are up on the wall. We change them every single year for the new induction class, but also on that wall, just if you're looking at the wall to your left, there's a beautiful big LCD interactive screen where you can go back and you can visit 2016, 2017, and you can get a look at things that happened here tonight for 2018. So that's part of the interactivity of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame that we present for you here at this beautiful facility. We have honorees here tonight for the first 2 years and a few surprises. Last year, for those of us who were here, we remember that Toronto Maple Leaf Hall of Fame great goalie Johnny Bower was here. We had some fun with that because it marked the 50th anniversary of the Leafs not winning the Stanley Cup. And we celebrated Johnny for that. And this year, I found out, because I decided this year I wasn't going to have it sprung on me at the last minute. So I had our Milton Sports Hall of Fame Central Intelligence let me know, and we're centrally intelligent, that we have Canadian gold medal Olympian Adam Van Couverden in attendance here tonight, I believe. He bought a ticket. So if you see him, guys, there's a reason your wife is not as interested in you tonight, because for crying out loud, it's Adam Van Couverden, really? It's just not fair, he's an Olympian. We are fortunate to be joined this evening by living members of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame from 2016 and 2017. So from our inaugural year in 2016, in the builder category here tonight, we have Carol Murray. In the team category here tonight from 2016, we have some of the members of the Campbellville Merchants. In the athlete category, we have Stanley Cup winner John Tonelli. And also from the athlete category, Mr. Scott Hogarth would have been here tonight. He sends his regrets. We're going to hear from him a little bit later. I have a message that was sent to me. He did have a sports-related surgery recently, and he is as fast as he can recover. And if you know Scott, you know that he's pushing it, but he was advised not to walk on it for a little bit, so he won't be here tonight. But from the class, from last year's induction class of 2017, in the team category, we have members of the EC Drury Spartans wrestling team here tonight. In the athlete category, we have former NHL goaltender Peter McDuffie with us again tonight. Yeah! But from 2017, there is one notable absence.
One night, the local linesman got hurt. He couldn't work, and they asked me if I would help out, and I was out injured. So I said, okay. I put the sweater on, took the whistle, went out there, and I liked it. I thought, whoa, this is kind of neat. I can be out here, and you get paid. I actually started referee schools here in Canada and in the US. And 1 year, I had 22 of the top 23 referees in the United States were here in Canada at a referee school I had right in Milton. So I was pretty proud of putting Milton on the map in that respect.
Sanderson tried a shot that was wide, and Keenan cleared it but not out. Bobby Orr behind the net to Sanderson. Orr! Bobby Orr! Scores for the Boston Bruins! Have won the Stanley Cup!
That was such an honor to be doing that game, and to have the game go into overtime and have Bobby Orr score and go flying through the air. You just think about it and you get goosebumps all over, you know. Service to the communities stretched far and wide. And leading into my ultimate career, refereeing in the National Hockey League, it all stemmed from living in a small community, helping out, putting something back for everybody.
And here, representing Bruce, are his two sons, Kevin and Randy Hood, here tonight. And in Bruce's honor, we will forge ahead to grow and strengthen the Milton Sports Hall of Fame. Tonight's induction class is the next step in that journey. Without any further ado, let's welcome our 2018 honorees to the Milton Sports Hall of Fame. This is the class of 2018, and they will be piped in to the room by Dave Punton, Jr. Please welcome the Milton Sports Hall of Fame induction class of 2018, from the athlete category, Bob Krantz. In the builder category, Mr. Brad Grant. In the builder category, Dave Brush. Representing Dave will be his son, Craig Brush. In the builder category, Mr. Jim Leeworthy. And in the team category, the Milton Merchants Junior A Hockey 1996 to 1998 era, represented by their former head coach, Marty Williamson. Our class of 2018, everybody. At this time, I would like to invite all of our honorees to take their seats, and the program will begin. And while they take their seats, I would like to welcome to the stage the chairman of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Joe Jaworski.
I forgot how bright these lights are. I am Joe Jaworski, and I am proud to be the chairman of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame. Hall of Famers, 2018 inductees, family, friends, and supporters, on behalf of the board, I welcome you to our third annual induction ceremony. Thank you to all our generous sponsors, including sports groups and businesses, and the many volunteers who are here with us tonight. The purpose of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame is to honor and celebrate outstanding achievement in Milton sports by athletes, sports teams, and builders. With the support of schools, clubs, parents, and teachers, and of course the fans, Milton has produced many successful athletes, teams, and builders. The class of 2018 have all excelled in their chosen sports, not only at the local level, but on the world stage as well. The Milton Sports Hall of Fame is a not-for-profit organization. The board of directors are listed on page 2 in the program. These ladies and gentlemen are all volunteers and represent a variety of sports and a variety of business backgrounds. I personally thank all of them for their dedication and hard work over the years. The board receives nominations from the public, does research, elects inductees, and produces this induction ceremony. Tonight is a result of a year's worth of fundraising to put on a ceremony like this befitting the class of 2018. If you are interested in becoming a member of the board, please see me or one of the other members after the ceremony. Nominations for the class of 2019 can be submitted now. You could check our webpage for more information. Special thanks to Janet Davidson. She is our liaison between the board and the town. And a thank you to Molly McCobre, who created tonight's program. We also thank the town of Milton for this sponsorship, especially for that beautiful wall space out there that we have created, the Wall of Fame. The Houston family made a donation in honor of their father, Keith Houston, who was inducted last year. It is our hope that other inductees and their families find ways to support the hall as it grows into the future. Hopefully next year, we can be able to announce the creation of the Hall of Fame Booster Club. Tonight's inductees have played, had fun, have shone, and have taught others. Their commitment of time and talent are an inspiration to all of us, especially to the young athletes here in Milton today. So on behalf of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame and everyone here tonight, we congratulate and thank the class of 2018 for their contribution to sport in Milton. I invite you to sit back, relax, and listen to the stories of this year's inductees. Thank you. And at this time, please welcome our mayor, His Worship, Mr. Gordon Krantz.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for your involvement as well. And I want to take this time on thanking Chris once again for doing an excellent job. And I've not missed one of these as well, so I thank you, Chris, as well. Also want to recognize the volunteers that do so much work. And as Joe had just mentioned, a lot of the work will start tomorrow for next year. Now, just sharing a thought or a memory, and I'm on a reasonably short leash here tonight, and I realize that, so I'm not going to go over my 2 minutes. But each and every one of those individuals and who they represent, I've known them personally, and I know of their commitment not only to this community. So I just want to recognize and say that. And you might have noticed there as well, there's another name there that you might be reasonably familiar with, even though it's spelled a little different than mine. But believe it or not, Bob Krantz is my brother, even though he's got an S in his name and I don't. But he is my brother, and I'm very proud of that. So he's being recognized here tonight as well. So President Joe, thank you very much. And Chris, back over to you. And I've said one thing all along, we're a pretty close-knit family. But with Bob and I'm the talker and he's the fighter. We get along quite well together, believe me.
Well, I'm glad he addressed the last name thing, because I don't know if anybody else noticed it or not. How did you get the S? So I mentioned earlier tonight about the volunteers. And again, you can't have an evening like this without volunteers. But we also cannot do this without the generous support of our many great sponsors and donors. Let's reflect on them right now. Have a look at the screens, if you could, please. Our platinum level sponsor, Milton Minor Hockey Association, the Milton Winterhawks. Thank you for jumping in as our platinum level. That's amazing. We have a collection of gold levels, and you can see them here from GavCom. GavCom is actually who set up the room here tonight with the lights and the sound and my mics and everything, so big hand for them. Baseball Milton, Milton Old Stars Hockey Club, Spring Ridge. Who doesn't go to Spring Ridge when it's pie season? We have Gibb Limited Insurance Brokers, Manulife, Dufferin Aggregates, I Am Intrigue, Active Transport, Ads at Work, and YourTv in particular, because YourTv is who's capturing all of this, not filming it. See, the thing with us in television, we hear people say, "Are you filming this tonight?" You know when the last time we used film in television was? Never. So you don't film in television, you film in movies. But I do want to thank Rory Narine, who is the producer, the video producer for all of these wonderful segments that we've had here tonight. He did an awful lot of driving in order to get all of the video work done. So big hand for YourTv, please. Our next level of sponsorship is the silver level. J.R. Curry Plumbing, Making Waves Swim School, Milton Lacrosse, Orange Snail Brewers, and their beer is amazing. We have some of it in the back room, and I love my craft beers, but this one is like next level. This is good. Scooters Catering, who's also taking care of a lot of the food service here. How about it for our food and drink here tonight? Trajectory Beverage Partners, Wayne H. Guard, Lions Wish Slow Pitch, Mattamy Homes, Milton Soccer Academy, Reebok CrossFit Firepower of Milton, Side Effects Graphics, and Tiger Images, all doing yeoman's work in helping bring this show to you tonight. Those are our sponsors. Now. Our first inductee this evening. Are you ready? Is in the athlete category, Bob Krantz. Born in Milton and a resident for more than 25 years, Bob transitioned from judo to jiu-jitsu during the 1960s to participate in a martial art that combined more than just grappling. Since his transition to jiu-jitsu, Bob has had many successes over the years. Bob has an 8th level black belt, and that's why he gets to keep the S. There it is. That was, I'll fight you for it, I win. He's had many successes over the years, and again, a three-time world champion. Bob's involvement in jiu-jitsu extends well beyond as an athlete. Almost 40 years ago, Bob decided to open a dojo in Milton, the first of its kind in the community. His daughter continues to operate the dojo to this very day, preserving the legacy that was once started by Bob. He was also instrumental in the composition of a stringent set of rules to ensure safe and fair competition in the jiu-jitsu arts. Bob is an official international referee and continues to host 2 tournaments each year out of his Milton dojo. His awards are numerous, from regional to international, and he was inducted into the Canadian Black Belt Hall of Fame in 2014. Let's find out a little bit more on Bob with this video right here.
8th-degree black belt Bob Krantz spends more time these days striking dummies as opposed to his younger years.
I won't quite say I was a bad little bastard, but trouble seemed to follow me. And I thought, as a teenager, then I joined the Navy, and it was all about confrontation, and I thought, well, if I'm going to get in fights, I want to make sure I win.
Krantz did his research and in 1962 began training judo in Toronto.
And after about 4 years, and I was into jiu-jitsu as well, I found I like this. I can hit somebody before I throw them.
Over the course of his training, the Milton Heights native developed a passion for the process.
The destination was being a good fighter to me, so I don't lose fights. But then along the way, the journey, you forget about fighting. You'll get so good, not necessarily so good physically, but mentally, that you don't have to fight. In the old days, it had been fists up and going. But then as time goes on, it's like I can walk away smiling, knowing that I could have kicked his ass, but I chose not to.
Krantz did test his skills, but in competition, winning multiple world championships across the globe.
There's a lot of kids, they see the picture, they read the articles, and not that I brag about it, but I'm very proud of it.
Krantz decided to move his talents back home, first at the local high school, then at the Legion, and eventually settling into his own studio on Main Street, where his daughter Darlene now leads the charge.
I'm going to keep teaching, I'm going to be here, and I know her on the computer, so I said, I'll even do the computer work, but you set everything up, you're running the club. So she took over, and boy, she's doing a great job, especially with the kids program.
The school has become a martial arts destination for figures like Renzo Gracie, Dan Severn, and even Bob's brother, Mayor of Milton, Gord Krantz.
he jokingly says, "Oh, this is my older brother." And then I always say, "Yeah, well, I haven't learned to lie like the politicians." Gord always says, "I'm the talker, my brother's the fighter. So if you want any problems, it's him. Otherwise, listen to me."
The 78-year-old looks back on his life and credits everything he has to martial arts.
3 great kids that never got in trouble. Got a wife, we've been married for 60 years. So I put that positive attitude into our family as well as into my job.
Krantz now focuses on the younger generation, helping them use martial arts in all aspects of their lives.
I think it's important that what they learn in the martial arts, that they take with them in school, whether they're writing a test, whether they have to do jobs at home, doing the martial arts. It's being the best you can be. You'll never be as good as somebody else, but you'll be better than a lot of other people. So you try to be the best that you can be, whether that's in school, doing jobs at home, martial arts, and like I said, you look in the mirror, and that person you look at, you say there ain't nobody better. And that's the thing I believe in.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome to the stage, inducted in the athlete category of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame, Bob Krantz.
Okay, I'll hold.
I don't know, but the word wow doesn't seem to fit. It just, I'm not the mayor, so I don't take too many bows, but I got to tell you, I'm proud and honored to be here, and I want to thank all the people that's responsible for this. I was told I had to make a speech, which I usually leave this up to my brother, your mayor, but all I can do is speak from my heart and tell you how it is with me, and you heard a lot of it on the video. But just got to take a moment to address this Krantz name. I got the S in my name. I remember a long time ago, I asked my mom, how come Gord doesn't have the S in the name? She said, well, the family decided to kick the ass out of the name. Oh, that's S, I meant, yeah. Not often I get a shot at him. Anyway, I'm here because of my involvement in martial arts. I spent 55 years in martial arts, and when I started, like the video was saying, it was all about me learning to fight better. Because in the old days, trouble did seem to follow me. So to solve this problem, the answer was become a better fighter. That was the destination I had in mind at the time, and I was reminded of this decision I made when I read an article approximately a month ago. It was made by the Nobel Prize winner, Donna Strickland. And she said, if you want to do something, get out there and do it. And I thought, wow, that was my thoughts. So that's what I did. Things soon changed for me, though. There's this destination. I wanted to become a great fighter. That changed, and it became my journey. 55 years. During this journey, I found that a good fighter never has to fight. Because as you become a good fighter, you gain an immense amount of self-confidence, which translates to you never have to fight to prove how good you are. But if you have to, you're ready. My destination turned into my journey. 55 years of this journey. Many twists and turns, and it set me on a path that sent me to places around the world like New Zealand, Australia, various places in Europe and North America, in competitions which resulted in me winning 3 world championships, as well as being the coach of the Canadian team, which won various championships. This resulted in meeting and maintaining some great friendships around the world, even to this day, thanks to Facebook. When I retired from fighting, my journey continued in a different direction. It led me to start doing seminars, various places around the country and around the world, meeting and making many great friends. But the greatest reward I got from all the years in martial arts is being blessed with the opportunity to teach many young kids, teach them how to fight, and to convince them that they will never have to fight because of the self-confidence they will get. So one of the greatest rewards I get from doing this after classes, I get some of the kids coming up to me and giving me some big hugs. That, my friends, is what keeps me going at 78 and hopefully for many more years. And thanks again to everyone who had a hand in me being here tonight. Thank you.
That's amazing. Oh, I forgot. I almost forgot. For you. As you heard off the top, unfortunately, Mr. Scott Hogarth couldn't be here tonight. And you're obviously familiar with Scott. Scott Hogarth, of course, from our 2016 induction class, also in martial arts. But he sent a note, and if you don't mind, I'd like to read it to you. Robert, my Budo brother, the doctor said the wound is draining, but it's too soon. I'm not allowed to go out. I truly wanted to stand with you, as I've always done. You are the real deal, and we've grown together sharing our arts, our martial arts with the community for the better part of our lives. Stand proud and strong because we've always kept it real, like fighting griffins. Love and respect to you and all your students at Milton. Jiu-Jitsu. Congratulations and best wishes for years to come. Milton Sports Hall of Famer, Robert Krantz. Thank you. Our second inductee of the evening, inducted in the Builder category, is Brad Grant. A resident of Milton for more than 30 years, Brad purchased the floundering Milton Merchants Junior A Hockey Club in 1986. The Merchants had just come off a difficult season, winning only 5 times over the course of the entire season, with a, this is also tough to swallow, a .012% winning record. Within 3 years, Brad and his bench staff were able to produce at least a .500 winning record, which was amazing. In 12 seasons as the owner, the Merchants won 4 divisional championships, 3 Central Ontario Hockey League titles, 1 provincial championship, then known as the Dudley Hewitt Cup, and made it to the semifinals of the National Royal Bank Cup. Brad was well respected by the entire organization, including, of course, the players, executives, and all the volunteers. He took pride in having local talent on his rosters, including siblings from 4 different families, Hadar, McPhail, Janovich, and Bertoli, as well as 7 players from Milton the year the Merchants went on to the Royal Bank Cup. For more on Brad Grant, let's pause a while and watch this video.
Bradley Grant's love of hockey stemmed from his early days on the ice.
Hockey was always kind of the roots of the community, and I mean, Friday nights was to go to the arena and watch the hockey club, the juniors play. And as a kid, I played hockey in town, obviously. Wasn't that good at it. Stronger management side than skill side, I guess.
In the mid-'80s, Grant took his passion for management and purchased the Milton Merchants, creating a 3-year plan to turn the team around.
There was a chance it was going to fold. They had a bit of a struggle the last couple of years. Being a Milton boy, we thought, yeah, let's give it a try. And from there, 16 years later, it all worked out.
But it was no easy cakewalk. Grant quickly learned that the role would require more of his direct attention.
I think not being hands-on, I allowed other people to run it for the first few years, and third or fourth year I got more hands-on involved and getting the right coaches, getting the right programs put together and putting systems in place and ran it like a business.
And by the late 90s, the Merchants began hitting their stride.
Go to the national championships and have the year we had had. We'd had about 3 or 4 really good years. Went to the nationals and had a good showing out there. We didn't win, but we had a good showing. And for a small town, it was pretty exciting.
In 2001, Grant decided to sell the team, but his contribution to the Merchants still pays off to this day.
Beating your rivals was always great, but I think my biggest pleasure is just seeing the kids develop and get the opportunities, better themselves. They became, better people, got scholarships. A lot of kids got scholarships through our program, and I think I'm seeing the reward more now because I'm seeing a lot of the kids that they were kids when they played for me, and they're young men with families now, and it's great to see.
Please welcome to the stage, inducted in the Builder category of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame, Brad Grant.
Thank you. After listening to Bob, there's 2 things I wish, or one thing I'm thankful for, that I'm much younger than him. And secondly, I wish I had had him around some nights when we went into Brampton. I would first like to congratulate all this year's winners as well as all past winners for their contributions to the sports in the town of Milton. I do believe as I accept this award that I am accepting it on behalf of so many people. The people who started with us on an opening night when we had a jam-packed arena full of lots of young fans and parents who came out to see the newest version of the Milton Merchants, and who were still there when we won the Dudley Hewitt Cup in front of another jam-packed arena some 825 games later, and stayed with the team right up until the day I passed the torch. I always said I was blessed to have 2 teams. One that had a consistent lineup every year. I had Linda Wadham, Donna McHugh, and Elva Howden, who took the tickets. And if you didn't have a ticket or a pass, you weren't getting in. I had Russ Hartley and Jim Zebedee, who sold 50-50 tickets and programs. And I know at times they probably strong-armed people when we needed it, but everybody was great. And I also had Harold Wadham. Harold did everything for the team. From the day I started to the day I sold the team, that was my opening lineup every night for all 825 games. I mentioned our opening night crowd, how big it was, but I have to be honest and tell you that having Wendell Clark there signing autographs after his rookie season with the Maple Leafs may have been the selling point. But as the years went on, it was the product on the ice that attracted fans. After a couple of years of trying to learn the hockey business, I realized that to be a successful team, you needed to entice the best coaches and do more than just develop the hockey players. We needed to help them to prepare for what lied ahead. Teach them how to win the tough battles and overcome adversity, as that was what was going to help them develop not only in their hockey skills, but also in their life skills. I always hoped that as these young men moved on, they took with them the knowledge and understanding of what it takes to succeed. And if you took one thing away from your experience as a Milton Merchant, then I believed we did our job. As I have followed the careers of so many, I believe some of them were listening to us. As I said, each coach helped in the continual development of the Merchants, and I believe that peaked when I was able to convince Greg Kerrigan and Marty Williamson to join our team. Both brought the same vision and values that I felt were important to the players' development, as well as they both taught the game to the players at a level that made us a team to be feared and respected, and players wanted to come and play in Milton. What started back in 1985 as a purchase of a team that had 3 hockey players, and obviously a lousy winning percentage, culminated with a trip to Nanaimo to play for the national championship. It was quite an adventure, and not bad for a small little town. Winning league championships and then the Dudley Hewitt was unbelievable. But what was and still are the highlights for me personally was watching and seeing our kids become the people they have become and having a part in their development. I always said, we could get the scouts here, but you had to do the rest. And thanks to people like David Dermo and Nick Slauson, we did get some of the best schools to see our players. And through everyone's efforts, we continually sent players off to the top NCAA schools year after year. That's what makes this a success story. I believe our first scholarship may have gone to Scott Bertoli. And one of the last, as I owned the team, I think went to Darren Hadar. Both Milton boys. But believe me, there was a lot in between. Coming from Milton, I always hoped that we would be able to have as many local players as possible. And although some years were leaner than others, I could proudly say that having young players from town was special. And over the years, we had many local kids, as was mentioned. Over the years, roughly 400 young men came through our program. And although not all are the success stories that some are, I believe, or at least hope, that they took something good away from their experience of being a Milton merchant. It gives me great satisfaction as I read about how many of you, it gives me great satisfaction as I read about many of you, as you have grown into young adults and parents and have forged your careers. The greatest rewards I get is when I run into somebody that asks me, "Are you Brad Grant, the guy that owned Milton?" And then proceed to tell me that they played with so-and-so, and all they did is raved about playing in Milton. It's times like that that I realized that it was worth every single minute. That the outpour of congratulations and well wishes from so many, from everywhere, has been overwhelming, and I cannot thank each and every one of you enough for allowing me to be a small part of your lives. To the parents, thank you for entrusting your sons to our care, and thank you for supporting them and for supporting us. To the people of Milton, I cannot ever begin to tell you how much I have appreciated your support. From the merchants in town, to the families and to my friends who continually supported your community hockey club, I will always be thankful. To all of those that have been a part of the Merchants hockey family over the years, I can never thank you enough. From the scorekeepers to the trainers to the equipment managers, you all have played a part and know that your efforts were appreciated. To the Hall of Fame committee, thank you for your efforts to ensure that the history of sports within the community is kept alive and for recognizing so many of their achievements. Thank you for allowing me to be a member of that club. In closing, I have to thank my wife, Bonnie, as she supported me wholeheartedly when I bought the team and when I swore to her that I only was going to buy it for 3 years. She has been and continues to be my rock. She accepted that a special night out was going to the arena, and Friday nights were always the special night. To my children, Heather and John, they accepted that Friday night was hockey night and allowed it to become part of our family. You both became part of the Milton Merchant Hockey Club, and I always enjoyed watching your interaction with the players. You accepted all the players as part of our family. You both were part of the team. Although, John, I wish you'd paid more attention to the skills of guys like Darren Hadar and Kevin O'Flaherty rather than Corey Holland and Shane Sullivan. Just kidding, buddy. I knew some of the players would get that one. In closing, I would like to say I'm a very lucky guy. In 1985, two good things happened to me. In April, I married my wonderful wife, and in July, I got to support our community by buying the local hockey club. 33 years later, I continue to support our community, and my wife continues to put up with me. Thank you.
So, is anybody else doing the math with me here? In 1985, you married your wife. You were barely newlyweds when you bought a hockey team. So you made that 3-year promise sort of like as a wedding gift? Or can you imagine? Yay, we're married. You're doing what? I said, let's start slow. You might have told her after. So this is legal, right? Yeah, so I'm buying the Merchants. Our third inductee of the evening, inducted in the builder category, is Dave Brush. Dave was an athlete in his own right, having played baseball and hockey all of his life in Milton. He advanced to the junior level in hockey and intermediate level in baseball. But it was his work in helping to develop Milton sports organizations that Dave is remembered for the most. After serving in World War II, Dave returned to Milton and managed the Fred Armstrong Arena for 2 years. His dedication to hockey also included coaching at the minor league level, founding Milton's first Junior C hockey club, the aforementioned Milton Merchants, which later became Junior B and eventually Junior A status. Dave worked hand in hand with Cliff Houston, whom we've heard about in the operation of the Milton Minor Hockey Association, and would also referee in the Ontario Hockey Association for 5 years. Dave was equally involved in Milton baseball, having coached the Milton Baseball Club to the Ontario Baseball Association Intermediate C Provincials. In 1949, the club would win the Halton County Championship as well as the Provincials. In the late 1950s, Dave started the Milton Minor Baseball Association and years later assisted in forming Milton's first girls softball league. Dave's involvement in the community went beyond sport. As a charter member of the Kinsman Club of Milton in the 1950s, he was involved in many projects with the club until it ceased to exist. He then became a chartered member of the Milton Lions Club in 1963 and remained an active member until his death in 1986. Let's watch now on Dave Brush.
Sports activist David Brush died in 1987, but the impact he's left behind is still alive and well in the community.
He obviously had help, good help that worked with him, but a lot of these innovative things that he did were his idea, his work, his time, his effort, but he loved it.
Throughout the 1950s and 60s, David was an integral part of building the sports culture in town. He served as a baseball umpire and hockey referee and helped build the minor league baseball system in Milton, not only for boys, but for the female fans of the sport as well.
When I complained that all the boys were getting to play baseball, he started the minor girls softball league. That was a lot of fun. I mean, we were only about 10, I think, at the time. It meant a great deal to me to have him start a league for girls because everything was boy-oriented back then.
David also put his efforts into coaching minor hockey teams.
And then started the Junior C hockey team in Milton, which then became Junior B, and I believe ultimately it was a Junior A team.
The 1975 Milton Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year was also an avid volunteer within the community, serving with the Kinsman and Lions Club.
He loved the town of Milton, passionately loved the town of Milton. He did a lot of fundraising throughout the entire community. I think he was known as the person who could sell the most tickets to anything, anytime, anywhere.
David lost his battle to cancer at the age of 67. The induction into the Milton Sports Hall of Fame provides an opportunity for the younger family members to understand what their great-grandfather meant to the town.
When we found out that Dad was being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame, we were ecstatic. I don't know some of them whether they grasp it completely, but yeah, it's a great, great honor.
Never one to sit still, David was always on the go and lived with the competition mindset at all times.
He was just happiest when he was out and doing things and working towards a final goal.
Accepting Dave Brush's induction into the builder category of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame is his son, Craig Brush.
This is a big deal. This is a very big deal for my family and for my dad. He'd be so proud to receive this award. Dave Brush would have turned 100 years old this year. And when I look at Milton today, I can only imagine how frustrated he would be, because in his day, he made it a point to seek out every new resident in Milton and welcome them to town. Of course, he tried to get them to join the Lions Club, too. My dad loved this town. Other than the war years for him from 1939 to 43, he spent his whole life here. I don't have a lot of information about his sports career. I know he played baseball and hockey, and that he was a catcher and a goalie, and then a referee and a coach. Clearly, he liked to be where the action was. I don't know how good he was because he never talked about it. I think it was because he never looked back. He was always looking forward. What I can tell you is, for as long as I can remember, he was organizing things. When I saw the names of the inductees to this hall, I was struck by how many he was connected to. Cliff Houston was his refereeing partner and a good friend. When Bruce Hood wrote his first book, I was surprised to read that Bruce was inspired to become a referee by seeing my dad in his all-white referee's jersey. When the junior team was first organized, it was my dad who recruited Eno Sklazizzi to coach the team. And he coached Peter McDuffie on our Pee Wee team. I know Pete talked about this last year, but it bears repeating. At the start of that year, Ken Desjardins, whose dad owned the Canadian Tire store, was our goalie. I recall it was the first game of the year in the old rink in Brampton. We were in one of those tiny little locker rooms where if you weren't careful, the wooden benches would give you splinters. Ken pitched a fit about playing goal, so Dave looked around and said, "McDuffie, you're going to be the goalie today." Pete agreed, and as you all know, Pete had a long NHL career. Ken moved to defense and played hockey at Michigan Tech and 4 years in the WHA. So this team of about 14 players produced an NHL goalie, 4 NCAA Division I players, and an NHL linesman who worked over 2,000 games, Leon Stickle. Who knew? We really didn't have much of a league to play in, but my dad was on the phone every night organizing games with any team he could find. My recollection was playing about 70 games just like the NHL at the time. And near the end of the season, playing Scarborough, who had Brad Park on the team. But more importantly, they showed up with the matching logoed equipment bags with their names on them. We were beat before we ever went on the ice. But back to Dave's hockey career for a second. The only story I ever heard about his hockey exploits was ironically from my grandmother, Rose Brush. She lived about a pitching wedge away from the old Brown Street Arena, but allegedly was never inside the building. Dave was on the 1935 junior team with 2 of his brothers, and they must have had a great year because they got to play Toronto St. Mike's at the end of the season. The game was played at Maple Leaf Gardens and was even broadcast on the radio. So Grandma listened. When the score got to be about 8-1, the Brush boys decided it was time to fight. Imagine my grandmother's chagrin to hear Foster Hewitt announce that all 3 Brushes had been KO'd in the brawl. Dave was always involved in community affairs, be it the March of Dimes, the Canadian Cancer Society, or the Lions Club. I remember these big poster boards for the March of Dimes, which had slots to put dimes in. People would actually go door to door and collect dimes. These boards sat in our living room until they were collected, a big temptation for a young boy, and a chocolate ice cream cone was only 10 cents at Marg's restaurant. So in the spirit of full disclosure, I did enjoy an ice cream cone courtesy of the March of Dimes, but only once, I think. Dave's home office was the dining room of his home with a wall-mounted telephone. It had a cord long enough to take him to every room in the house. How he loved that phone. He spent hours every night talking to people about the various projects he was working on. I can only imagine today with an iPhone. His crowning achievement was getting the second arena in Milton, the Memorial Arena. Through the Lions Club, he worked tirelessly to get the funding to make it happen. the Lions used to have $100 dinners each year to raise money, and Dave, without exaggeration, sold about 90% of the tickets. Other members were frustrated when people said, "Sorry, I promised Dave last year I'd buy my ticket from him." But oh, how he loved this town. It was the center of his universe. When I went away to college, he and my mother, Audrey, would come down to Cornell for almost all my games. Dave would meet people at the hotel or a restaurant and strike up a conversation. And when they asked him where he was from, he would simply say, "Milton." People at the time barely knew where Toronto was, so he got a lot of blank stares, but I don't think he ever even noticed. I mentioned Audrey. I can't talk about my dad without talking about my mother. Every project he started, she was there in lockstep, helping him see it through. She worked for the town of Milton for over 30 years and served as the town treasurer. Dave referred to her as the smartest girl to ever come out of Muskoka. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the family members who are here tonight. Please stand when I call your name and remain standing. My sister Bonnie, who put up with all my hockey and baseball trips and never complained once. Her husband, Jack Dimstra, who also spent a lot of time working with Dave on his ventures. Their awesome daughter, Beth. Where's Beth? And from my side, the glue to our family, my wife, Kyle, who has put up with me for the last 45 years, and my 3 sons, Pat, Ty, and Matt. Matt is accompanied by his lovely wife, Samantha, and their 2 beautiful daughters, Anna and Mary. Thanks, everybody. I'd also like to thank Bob Lee and the committee for selecting Dave for this award. Pi, we will always be indebted to you for your hard work in making this happen for my dad. Dave was not without his demons. If he were here today, he would say the achievement he's most proud of was not only conquering his problems, but how he spent the last 15 years of his life helping others. I saw firsthand how the phone would ring, he'd talk for a moment, and then quietly leave for a couple of hours. He said he wasn't helping others as much as they were helping him. So for me, this has been a trip down memory lane. It's been cathartic to think about my father and go back 50 or 60 years in time. He was one of a kind. He did a lot of good in his life and a lot of good in his town. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much indeed, Craig. Thank you so much for that. Our 4th induction of the evening in the Builder category is that of Jim Leworthy. In 1984, Jim had a goal of bringing lacrosse, Canada's national summer sport, to Milton. With his wife Carol, they founded the Milton Minor Lacrosse Association. Their goal was simply to introduce the game to as many children as possible. In order to increase interest and skill level, Jim would attend local schools, providing the necessary equipment to teach the students the game and teach it properly. In the first year, 40 children registered. Over a 15-year span, the Milton Minor Lacrosse Association increased their participation number to as many as 500. During that time and continuing today, the Mavericks have produced many tournament and provincial champions from the tyke to intermediate age groups. Once the minor system was established, Jim shifted his attention to securing a Junior B franchise for the town of Milton. In 1995, Jim successfully founded the Milton Mavericks. In 1999, his last year of involvement with the organization, Jim won the bid to host the Founders Cup, the Junior B National Championships. The Mavericks were coached by Jim that year and made it to the championship finals. Many players since that time have been drafted to junior teams, secured scholarships with Canadian and American universities and colleges, and even a select few have played at the professional level. Jim continues to be involved with the sport of lacrosse to this very day, including work with the governing body, the Ontario Lacrosse Association. Let's take a look now at some of what Jim's brought to us.
Milton's godfather of lacrosse, Jim Leeworthy, keeps busy helping kids through sports, a mission he originally took on in the 80s.
I have a real soft spot for Milton in my heart. You can't ask for a better sports town. You know, I know a lot of people say it's a hockey town, but in actuality, it's not. It's not just hockey. They have great people in soccer, baseball, lacrosse. You just go down the list of all the sports.
As a youngster in Etobicoke, Jim started playing lacrosse when he was 5. He instantly fell in love with the sport, playing in various leagues and eventually coaching.
You know, lacrosse to me is just a game that got in my blood. You know, I just played my whole career as far as I could. Then when I was finished playing, I, got in coaching. And then from coaching, you get into the executive level and, you just kind of hang around.
The Toronto native and his wife Carol decided to start the Milton Lacrosse Association in 1984.
We ended up putting an ad in the paper, asking anybody that was interested in putting a lacrosse league in the town of Milton to come to a meeting at Laurier Arena, John Kennelly Arena. We had nothing, we had no money, nothing, but we started.
The local popularity of lacrosse grew over time, and 10 years later, Jim decided to start his own Junior B team.
So I had to figure out what to do to attract the fan base. So considering it's called the Milton Mavericks, I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to go buy myself a Texas Longhorn steer, which is considered a Maverick. I had Maverick come to the games, and it was called Cal Patty Bingo. And there was a grid in the lobby, so that if Maverick decided to do his business on the floor, you would measure where that happened on the floor and compare it to the grid, and whoever had a matching square would win the 50-50. And if not, then the 50-50 would build up and the other 50 would go to the team.
In his final year with the team, the Mavericks headed to the 1999 Founders Cup Championship Finals.
Founders Cup is a Junior B National Championship, and all the provinces play for it. Slowly we built a national contender, and we did very well. We lost in the final to Edmonton 13-10, but I was extremely proud of the boys, considering from where they were to where they ended up. You know what? In my mind, we won that championship.
Today, Jim and his wife spend their days helping a new generation of athletes at the Rise Center in Brantford, where the students affectionately refer to him as Pops.
I love it. I love watching the kids. I love watching them develop. I love watching when they come in so naive and innocent, and they just mature into really nice young men and women.
Throughout his years training athletes, Jim knows the best skills developed in sports are transferable in all facets of life.
If a kid's playing sports, he's too busy to get in trouble. That's the best way to put it. I've seen kids that been bullied. I've seen kids that feel inferior. I've seen kids become just shadows of themselves. But when they enter the sports arena, whatever sport that may be, they seem to all of a sudden emerge as an individual, as a person, as somebody to contend with. They gain confidence, and they become self-respecting. And you know, it's the old adage that, you know what, you can't expect to be respected until you respect yourself. And I think sports does that. I think sports allows kids to learn how to respect themselves, and they can portray that out there in society to gain respect from others. So sports to me is, this world needs sports, no matter what sport that is.
Please welcome to the stage, inducted in the Builder category of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame, Jim Leeworthy.
Wow, sorry, Maverick couldn't make it tonight. But he gives you his wishes that he can live for a long life. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed.
as we all know, we don't do this for this. We do it for the kids. And this is just a bonus. You know, it's just something extra and something you can be proud of. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, attendees, special guests, Mayor Krantz, and Sports Hall of Fame Board of Directors. I'd like to begin to congratulate all the former and fellow inductees tonight. Again, I sit back and I look, you know, what an honor. The people that I'm up here with from the past and present. I look at some of them. I have a personal attachment at one point or another with everybody over the years, which is great. I love that. Dave DeCare, I don't know where you are, buddy, but I thank you for nominating me. When Dave called me, I said, yeah, go for it. Give it a shot, see what happens. And then I got a call, and I go, oh, okay. Thank you. I am incredibly honored and humbled to be standing here in front of all you tonight. This induction in itself awards me by stating the profound recognition of my love for the city of Milton. Milton is more than a city. It's more than a community. It is home. First moving to Milton, I'll tell you a story, and this is what sold me. I came out of Cogeco, we moved to Milton. I needed a new car, my car was done, and I called a taxi, and I went around looking for a vehicle, and I didn't have much success. So I ended up calling again for another taxi, and by chance, the same taxi driver shows up, and I get in the car, and he looks at me, he says, what are you doing? I said, I'll be honest with you, my friend, I'm looking for a car. You know, I got to get to work in Toronto, and I need to get a car. To my amazement, he took the flag. People don't know what a flag is, the younger people, but a flag on a taxi, he put it down, and he drove me around the rest of that afternoon looking for a vehicle. No charge. To this day, I haven't been able to find that fella. So I don't know where he is today, but I'll tell you something. He represented the attitude of Milton, and it sold me on Milton. It sold me. So, you know, I don't know. This town is where I've raised my family. I've learned the lessons of servitude that I have shared with my grandchildren. So, you know, I just love Milton. It's just a great town. I started the Milton Lacrosse Association because there was a need for lacrosse. My son, in his first year, was playing in Acton, and we went up there, and after it was all over that year, I said, you know what, let's see if we can do something in Milton. So like the video says, we put something out there, and a lot of people responded, 40 to be exact, and from there, we went. Now, I've heard people talk about this here, and I do know the committee here puts everything together. But no matter how you look at it, no matter what we do, whether it be whatever, if it's something that somebody has a vision, that vision can only come true in nonprofit organizations with volunteers. You need the volunteers. You can't do it yourself. And I had great volunteers. I had volunteers that, you know what, would just do anything for the game and for me, and it was just awesome. I know we have some of them out here tonight, and you know, I can't mention them all, but as anybody that's involved in sports knows that the volunteer is the base of the organization. They are the base. We're only the people that say, yeah, yes or no. It's the volunteers that make it happen. So I thank the volunteers. I thank them a lot. And then there's the sponsors. You know, I mean, everybody's knocking on the door saying, hey, sponsor me soccer, baseball, hockey, lacrosse, whatever. They get inundated with all kinds of requests. But for some reason, they always seem to come through, you know? And when I started the league, I had one sponsor that I went to school with in town here. And it was funny, because I went to him and said to him, I want to start this league, but I have no money. What are you going to do for me? And Randy House of Key Center, he gave me my sweaters, my shorts, and I don't even know if I paid him off today. I can't remember. But he carried me, and I really got to thank the man for doing that. A lot of people don't do that. He knows I was going to mention him. He told me not to, but I don't care. I mention him anyhow. So. Now, the town of Milton. I also like to thank the town of Milton for trusting me, the vision, and granting us the ability to have lacrosse. We played out of the John Tonelli Arena, and I'd go there and I'd say, you know what, we got to do things. We need a 30-second clock. The glass is too low. I kept inundating with all these requests. I think it came to a point where they said, you know what, give it to the guy and just shut him up. And so we redone the Tonelli Arena to accommodate lacrosse. So I thank the town of Milton for that. I appreciate that. This comes up once in a while, but I gotta give a huge thanks to my children. The sacrifices that they made and the things they did without to allow me to make the lacrosse league grow. You know what? I just got to thank, Tammy, Robin, and Jimmy for supporting and allowing me and the mother to get lacrosse to where it was and the way it is today. So I thank you for that. And you don't know how much I respect that. And most importantly, it's my wife. We've been married 49 years, and she's been there all the time. And when I do things, people don't realize it, but I'm just a front and center guy, and she's the one behind the scenes doing all the work. Trust me when I say that. She's the one doing all the registrations and sending them into the All-A. She's the one that's doing all the bingos, and she's just there. She's just there. The countless hours, the presence, her with me all the time. Without you, babe, I couldn't do it. Knowing that lacrosse is truly a part of this community and thrives after 35 years is incredible. I am truly blessed to be part of this sport. It has given me the opportunity to touch lives and make lasting memories. I thank the executives that are doing it today, and I see some of them here too as well. And it's great to see that they're carrying on the tradition. I love that. The 1999 Junior B Mavericks made history going to the Nationals. It was a big deal to make it that far. And although we may not have gone all the way, the character built through the team spirit was incompatible. The team mascot, Maverick, our Texas Longhorn Steel, was idolized. And people don't realize this, but Maverick, I could call him like a dog and people wouldn't believe it. He'd walk behind me, I'd scratch his ear. And he'd come to the games, and it's true, Brad, it's true. He'd come to the games and he'd stand at the end of the boards and look at the glass and watch the game. Like, what an animal. So, and people couldn't believe it. And the funny story about, in the video, it said that we did Cow Patty Bingo. And the lacrosse world said, Leeward, you're nuts. I said, hey man, I got a bad team. I need something to draw the crowd. So, he would go and do his number on the floor, and the rule was that the rookies had to clean it up. So the vets would be sitting there saying, come on, Mav. So for Maverick, you know what? He was part of it. He was our good luck charm. So, like I said, this may not have been the winningest team, but it's simple. It's the simple things. Bringing lacrosse to Milton, seeing mom and dad cheering on the kids. We saw that. We see it on the videos. You know, the smile spread across the kids' face while they receive an award. You know, getting a trophy. It's just awesome. You know, that makes lacrosse more than a game. It's the people that make my life worth something. I've been able to watch the young ones grow up through the system to become, you know, husbands and wives and citizens. I sit back and hear stories. I know some of them have become lawyers. Some of them are firemen. Some of them working for big corporations. You know what? That's the reporting part. When you start off doing these things with a little guy, that's fine. But the reporting part is when you sit up here at my age and see these young people going through society, making contributions, bringing something back to the game, coaching, refereeing. You know what? That's the reward. That's the reward for all of us. And you know, you can't beat that. You just can't beat that. And it's irreplaceable. It's irreplaceable. You know, I don't know. It is a remarkable feeling to know that people in the town of Milton and what they've given to me in return and continue to give, like tonight. And you know what? No matter what happens with me in life, I am truly blessed by knowing and sharing my life with the people of the town of Milton. You have no idea how much I love the people in Milton, and I thank you for this. Good night.
Jim, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I'm sure the steer was not the only thing that you used to call an animal, though. I'm sure after all those years of working with a bunch of lacrosse hooligans, yeah. Oh, good. He just let us know that the team mascot is now at a petting zoo. Yeah, that's what you want to do for a retire. That's what I'm going to do when I retire. I want to go someplace where people can just pet me all day long. Show me unconditional love. Our final inductee of the evening, inducted in the team category, is none other than the Milton Merchants Junior A hockey team, especially that special 1996 to 1998 era. The 1996-97 and the 97-98 Merchants represent a high point in the success of the club's history, having won back-to-back league championships and making it to the final of the Dudley Hewitt Cup on both occasions. In the 97-98 season, the Merchants won the Dudley Hewitt Cup, advancing them to the National Royal Bank Cup in British Columbia. The Merchants lost in the semifinals and to the eventual champions, the South Surrey Eagles. Surrey. You'd have to be from BC to get that one. During the tenure, the Merchants signed 7 players who grew up in Milton and played with the Milton Minor Hockey Association. To have this many local players on a team is practically unheard of. The two teams combined for an impressive regular season record of, get this, 78 wins, 15 losses, 6 ties, resulting in an 84% winning record. Let's check this out.
Former Milton Merchants head coach Marty Williamson looks back on his time with the team and recalls the value of believing in his players.
I just think the experiences you go through, it teaches you about patience. I probably wasn't the most patient coach at that time. Trust your players and to believe in your players. These guys never let me down. They stepped up for every big game we had.
Williamson joined the Merchants in 1997 after serving as head coach in Coburg.
I mean, we were in a tournament and Newmarket had beaten us 10-1, I think it was, in the tournament, and then Milton played Newmarket, and Milton beat Newmarket 10-0. And Greg Kerrigan was talking to Brad and said, "This is the guy that we want to hire." And Brad said, "You're telling me the guy that we want to hire just lost 10-1 to this team, and we just beat the team, so we would have beat his team 20-1, and that's the guy you want to hire?" And Greg said, "Yeah, that's the guy." Brad and Greg have a lot of fun poking fun at me and feel extremely honored that Brad gave me this opportunity, along with Greg supporting me, to kind of start my coaching career.
From ownership to the players, the Merchants was a well-oiled machine.
Brad Grant was a pretty special owner who taught me an awful lot about
you know, just about how you deal with people and how to make trades, and really kind of, you know, vaulted my career as far as management of a team. And then Greg Kerrigan was the other guy, and the two of them, you know, it was a special being under those two guys, and that's what really kind of set the tone for the whole team. The tough guys had their role, and the skilled guys had their role, and they looked after each other, and it just seemed there was a special group of guys that really knew what it took to win.
The team consisted of players from other countries and across Canada. They all had great chemistry on and off the ice, but when it was game time, it was all business.
There was some good brawls, there was some good overtime victories, some game sevens. You know, we weren't a one-dimensional team. That was the thing about these guys. We were tough as nails, and you know, you came to Milton, you know, we were going to get you one way or another, whether it was on the scoreboard or whether we were going to chase you out of the ring.
The Merchants were racking up wins, and in Williamson's second year with the team, he led them to a Central Canadian Championship.
We were a dominant team, and you know, to win that much and only have 7 lost seasons, and you know, those kind of things, that you know, that's a special group of guys that can do that. That's a group of guys that come and work hard, and you know, and you know, in our first year to be so, you know, so close to some extent, and to lose a tough series against Rayside Belfour, but the resiliency and the character of that group to come back the next year and have even a better season, and for us to win a Central Canadian Championship. And I got my ring on today, and you know, it's I'm not really a ring guy, but you know, it's a special group, and when you look at the ring, and it really brings back some great memories.
Williamson credits his success as a coach to his time spent with the Milton Merchants.
What a special time it was for us, and what a special time right now being rewarded with his honor. You know, this was a group of guys that always found a way. If we had a rough night, we didn't have too many, but if we had a rough one, that they were even better the next night. And I think as a coach, those are great experiences to go through with a group of guys like that.
Accepting the Milton Merchants Junior A Hockey 1996 to 1998 era induction into the team category of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame is their former head coach, Marty Williamson.
Just before I get into my speech, on a personal note again, I'd like to thank Brad Grant for everything he did, and 21 years ago really put my life in a different direction. It was 21 years ago that I started dating my wife, and it's been bliss in heaven, except when my team loses and then changes up a little bit. But and also to the players and the coaches, I know there's a bunch of them here, and really, I know I'm up here, but if I could get all the players to stand up, and the coaches and Brad, and you know, have a little round of applause for you guys, besides me standing up here. Guys, if you could stand up, or if you're already up. Greg Kerrigan was supposed to be here doing this. I was supposed to do that, and he was supposed to do this, and he's in Florida, probably on a beach this afternoon, and him and I got on the phone and talked about this speech, and this is what we came up with. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow and past inductees, board members, and city officials, it is with great honor that I accept the induction into the Milton Sports Hall of Fame on behalf of the parents, the staff, the volunteers, the management, and mostly the players from the 96, 97, 97, 98 Milton Merchants junior hockey teams. 101 regular season games, 78 wins, 15 losses, 6 ties, 2 overtime losses. What the heck were you guys doing in those 15 losses? We went 16-6 in the playoffs in 97, including 2 sweeps, followed by 2 tough Game 7 victories against Bramalea and Newmarket to win the Ontario Provincial Junior A title. We bowed out to Rayside Belfour in the Dudley Hewitt after winning Game 1 and a tough overtime loss in Game 2, but however, we learned. In 98 playoffs, the Merchants went 16-2 to repeat as the OPGA champions, but this time we weren't satisfied. We took out the cocky Metro Junior champs Wexford 4-1, and then we went back to Rayside, and we won the Dudley Hewitt in 6 games. We were off to Nanaimo, the RBC Canadian Championships. It's been 21 years since those exciting times. 21 years. The players, Brad, myself, everyone's gotten older except Greg. He was already old back then. My personal memories, a packed Thompson Arena. Fans not only filling the seats, but also sitting on the concrete stairs, lined up 3 or 4 deep around the glass. I'm not sure how the fire marshal ever allowed so many people in the building. Brad? Sunday midday practices. Whoever decided on that one. Players dragging themselves in after a good Saturday night, but somehow putting it out on the ice and giving me a good solid effort in practice. 96, 97, nervously and anxiety before those big Game 7 victories. A vicious first game in Rayside, players dragging them, a vicious first game in Rayside where Sully became up close and personal with the fans. 97, 98, being down in the second round of the playoffs against Oakville, but then the team character went to a new level. Nanaimo, the big stage. Some tough times capped off with a party that reflected the same way the Merchants played. Take no prisoners and leave nothing behind. Players' faces, flushed from exertion, wide eyes, adrenaline, tears from defeat, the smiles, the laughter, the hugs, the fight, the brawls, the family, the smells, the screams, the yelling, the cheering, the banners. Few get to experience moments, and special achievements require special people. Successful teams like the Merchants are a blend of many ingredients. It starts with the leadership and the vision of an owner, Brad Grant, who felt that the Merchants were an integral part of the community and was used to success. Coaches, trainers, equipment personnel, support staff, volunteers, parents, all committed to excellence. However, only the players put it on the ice, where the rubber meets the road, the proverbial trenches. Players came from far and wide, Kincardine, Chicago, Brantford, Lindsay, Havelock, Temagami, Oshawa, Kitchener, and oh yes, how good was it to have the Milton boys. While their backgrounds different, these players shared common traits integral to winning. Competitiveness, a burning desire to win always. Selflessness, take a hit to make a play. What's good for the team is good for all. Play for the name on the front of the jersey. Discipline. Did Greg really say discipline? Toughness. Teams feared coming to Milton. Chances are you were going to get beat more than one ways than on the scoreboard. Effort, the mental and the physical. In a word, these young men playing on both these teams possessed an abundance of that hard-to-define word and feeling, character. Each one equal to their success and in their own individual way. All critical roles filled. I wish I could mention them all by names along with their accomplishments and their value to the winning teams, but as always, it was the name on the front of the jersey, then and now. Guys, take time to go to the rink. Look up to those 2 championship banners and remember yourself and allow yourself to be proud. We've been bestowed with an enormous honor and a gift tonight. One day your grandchildren will point to the wall and say, my granddad is there. How cruel is that? Thank you very much.
I had to laugh when you said, hey, come on, guys, team members, stand up. I'm like, they're all by the bar. They're there. They're standing. What do you want from them? Still living the Saturday nights before the Sunday afternoon practices, right? As we bring this evening to a close, we would like to bring up to the stage, as is tradition, a member of the inaugural induction class, NHL great John Tonelli, to officially welcome the class of 2018 into the Milton Sports Hall of Fame. John.
Hi, everyone. What a great pleasure it is to be here tonight, and what a pleasure it is to hear all these stories. Growing up as a kid, not knowing a lot of this stuff that was going on, and being away from Milton a lot of time, not knowing it, but listening to it gives me a lot of pride. And it's a special occasion to be here for me tonight, and a great honor and a great privilege to welcome the new inductees into our Milton Sports Hall of Fame. First of all, I'd like to welcome Dave Brush, Mr. Brush to me. And I remember growing up as a kid how my dad respected your dad and how good he was to the town. And I remember that truly. And I thank you, Craig, for the nice words. And you're actually one of my heroes growing up and a leader on where to go, you know, so I appreciate that. Back when I was a kid and sports were seasonal and not all year round, when the hockey season was over, I loved to play baseball. I could hardly wait to play baseball. And of course, playing hockey, growing up in Milton, the biggest night for me were Friday nights, going down to the arena and watching the Milton Merchants take on the likes of Georgetown. Special times. I don't know how many people can remember that in this room, but that was wild. So I'd like to thank Mr. Brush for giving us guys that played baseball a place to play and a hockey team to root for. Thank you. Welcome to Brad Grant. You know, I didn't have a chance to meet you, but I got to talk to you a lot tonight, and it's nice to hear, and I can feel it. Being a part of a team, it's special to hear you talk and to hear the coach talk. So I want to also thank you and congratulate you on giving our boys from Milton a chance to play on the team. If I look back on my career, playing for the Milton Continental Flyers, Junior B, was a huge stepping stone for me, a huge one. And for Vern Gooding back in those days to take me in, it was, and Coach Brown, I remember them. I remember how tough they were, but I remember how excited they were for me to be on that team. If I look back at my career, I've had several owners, several managers, you know, and now that I'm outside of the game, it's tough. I can appreciate how hard it is for you guys to put the team together, to create that chemistry. Kudos to you guys. You did a heck of a job. Welcome to Bob Krantz with an S. A jiu-jitsu 8th level black belt holder and a 3-time world champion. All I can say is, wow, Bob. Wow. My only regret is that I didn't seek you out. I could have used your help. Boston Garden, Terry O'Reilly, Spectrum, Paul Holmgren, I really could have used your help. You've done a great job, Bob. It was great to watch you up there. Congrats. Thanks for bringing the rules and safety and your continued dedication to the sport. Congrats. Welcome to Jim Leeworthy, I should say. Jim, there were times, I don't know how I had it. I mean, at the Tonelli house, we had every sports thing you could have, a football, everything. You know, we had a lacrosse stick. And I had a lacrosse stick, and my older brother had a lacrosse stick. The only problem is we had nowhere to play, except throwing it against the wall. My only option was Oakville. So given that Alec and Joy were both working, that would have made for a long walk for me. As much as I would have tried, I would have walked, but it just wasn't happening. So I commend you, Jim, and Carol. Kudos to you, Carol, for being there and for your support. And thank you for bringing lacrosse to Milton. And congrats on developing a lot of great players and a lot of great teams along the way. Congrats to you. Okay. As you know, let's welcome the Milton Merchants hockey team. As you know, I'm a little familiar with playing for a championship team. Coach Marty, you remind me of Coach Al. My way or the highway, right? Not too far. And when things weren't going right, you were stepping in there and sending a message, right? So there are times, times I'm sitting around having a beer or just thinking, how the heck did we do it? How did our teams win? I'm going to tell you, my way or the highway, putting a great team together, chemistry. Now it comes to the player. Every player is mentally and physically prepared to compete for 60 minutes. Every player contributes. Every player buys into the team concept. Every player is ready to sacrifice for any one of his teammates at all times. Hearing your stories tonight, you guys had it and your team had it. Congrats to all of you. Good job. So in closing, 4 gentlemen and an organization highly deserving the honor they are receiving tonight. I know how all of you must feel because I know how I felt the night that I got this honor. So welcome all of you to the Milton Sports Hall of Fame.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, John. We're grateful. Thank you very much for making the trip up again and doing that for us, because that means a lot. Thank you. There was a theme that I heard tonight. I think we all heard that tonight, and it was about nurturing growth, making something out of nothing, and then taking something that was on its way to so many great levels. And it was all done by teamwork, and not team sports, but as we talk about jiu-jitsu as well, but through the group mentality. And every single photo that we saw on these screens here tonight were competitors, male and female, beaming from ear to ear, smiling, and that was their moment. Those photos were their moment. And we had an opportunity to go all the way back in time and share what you 5 inductees did for those kids. You gave them the opportunity. They looked at you as a hero, and they're going to move on and be heroes to somebody else. But the smiles are something that will always be indelible, because that was their moment, and they lived that joy because of you. So that's an awesome achievement as well. Congratulations to you for doing that for us. Once again, this night would not have been possible without the support of our sponsors and our donors. And on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame, thank you for helping us and honoring the best of Milton's sporting community. Once again, our platinum, our gold, and our silver sponsors. You can, in all of your programs, we have these pages presented. So take those away and remind yourself when you're looking for services, if you're looking for assistance in your home or your business, or maybe your presentation, these are the folks that helped us make this happen. Look them up, because they're all local. They're all part of this beloved town of Milton. We also hope to see everybody return for the 2019. And have you had fun tonight? Have you had a good time? Well, come on back next year. Yeah, do it. We hope to see you all for 2019's ceremony, which is already scheduled. Mark this in your calendar. It's confirmed. It is Thursday, November 14th. Thursday, November 14th, 2019. Put it in your calendars. Put it in your day planners. Take your pens out and put it on a calendar. Put it in your PDAs or whatever you have that glows. I'll put it in my iPad. For further information about the 2019 nomination deadline, as well as sponsorship opportunities, please visit our website. You can find it at www.miltonsportshof.com. Obviously, the HOF is Hall of Fame. So miltonsportshof.com, like you can see right here, and you can find out more information on the nominations. The bar that I believe the merchants are still surrounding, and we just found out how tough they are, so I don't know how close I want to get to that bar. That bar will remain open until 10 o'clock tonight, so that gives us roughly about 40 more minutes. But a reminder, as always, to please drink responsibly. Once again, on behalf of the Milton Sports Hall of Fame Board of Directors, we would like to congratulate, because they graduated into, and this is our induction class of 2018 in the athlete category, Bob Krantz. In the builder category, Brad Grant. In the builder category, Dave Brush. In the builder category, Jim Leeworthy. And in the team category, the 1996-1998 Milton Merchants Junior A hockey team. So now, from the 2018 Milton Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony, thank you and good night.